Good night, guys. Can you guys hear me? Could you please type on the Zoom group chat, please? All right. That's awesome. Okay. So I'm going to start checking out the futures, and if you guys have any tickers while I do that, please let me know in the chat room. Okay, let me move this a little bit this way. Okay. So ES is opening flat. Nothing's going on there. Let's see if we can have any more clues intraday. Okay, so the main pivot is at 30.19. If we lose this 30.2250, 30.23, we're most likely gonna test from this pivot here, maybe to this high, make a little zone, like a 1-point zone. So if you're trading futures, that's something you wanna keep an eye on. Holding above, if we can reclaim this right here, the 25, we're going to retest this 29, and then the pivot is at 33. Now, let's see where is the main. So the main weekly pivot is at 3008, which will form a strong zone with this other higher time frame pivot. So this is a must-hold support zone on the S&P futures, 3005 to 3008. Losing that, we're most likely going to retest this zone here, to 2990, 2992. Now, where we can go from here, this is all-time highs. So if we break this previous high, which is this 3029-ish, the first level of resistance is going to be this intraday pivot at 3033. We have a higher time frame pivot. Let me mark that right here, right around there. See, so if we once you break this, the higher time frame strong zone will be the 3044 and 3038. So it's gonna be around here. This will be the strong zone, the strong resistance zone for ES, and the strong support zone is down here. So those are the main zones to watch on the futures, S&P. Let's check natural gas. So natural gas have a little gap down. We gapped below this previous low here and below the monthly pivot. Let me change this so we can get the exact number. 50. Well, less. We're ending the month, so it has to be less. 15 candles. I missed by one. Let me do this real quick. Okay. So the pivot is 2.158. As you guys can see, we reject the attempt to go above it. 58. That attempt to go above it right here. Let's see intraday. right there. Try to go above it, couldn't hold so far, and now we are under again. So if we can reclaim, we're going to retest this 2.14, 2.15, which will be the next strong pivot. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the main. Where is my main weekly? Main weekly is at 2.22, so it's way up there. It's right here, 2.22. So it's way bearish so far on the week. So this is how pivots work until it is below the main pivot of the time frame. We're on bearish territory, and until if it's above the main pivot of the time frame, we are on bullish territory. So this is the main daily pivot. So for the day so far, we are bearish, right? And the main weekly is right here at 2.222. So for the week, as if we don't get above it, we're still bearish on the week. We can have a pullback, but if we can't break it, we're gonna resume the down move. Now, let me right here. I want to see where is the main monthly so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So the main monthly was right here, right? We had this strong downtrend. Then we were able to reclaim on this strong push. This is the main quarter pivot. We stay slightly above for a few sessions, but then we couldn't hold it. You see how we're reacting so perfectly to that level? Once we broke under and we couldn't reclaim, then we resumed the downtrend, right? And we came right to the test, the main monthly pivot. We couldn't hold above it. Once we have that push under to complete that wave down and retest it, couldn't break above it, then continue that downtrend for the month. And that's what we are trying to see for the week. So on the day, we are bearish until break above 2.194. And for the week, we are bearish until break that 2.222. So the key levels I have marked from the past, if we need to bounce, will be this 2.14 and 2.24. We could even mark this one here and create a little zone, right, like this. So I do have yeah. If we don't hold this, then we're gonna retest. We're gonna test this quarterly pivot over here. Now next month's pivot is at 2.266. So if we can have a bounce here, reclaim this 2.158, we have a chance to retest this level here. Now this is a strong zone we have to keep an eye on. This one right here, it has been the up and down confirmation for quite some time. If you guys can see here, here, then it came a retest here and then down. But the goal is always to reach that main pivot, but don't ignore the strong zones in between. All right, let's check gold, oil. All right, let's clean it up a little bit. I can do this later. We bounce right off the main yearly pivot, which is 5502. The problem I have with it is that it's doing this, it kind of try to push and then it starts step down, up, see, wave up, and now it's doing lower highs. So I am kind of bearish on it until we can make a higher high. I would not be surprised if you retest this here, right here. So as let me see, this is the main monthly pivot right here, and you see it couldn't 1, 2 couldn't hold above. So that's an important level right there. Let's see intraday if we can find more clues. It's trading, just see how rejected is just rejected the main daily pivot. So it just got into bearish territory for the day. The main weekly is probably above it as well. Try to find it. Is that one over there? No. Right here. It's right here at 56.38. So this is a very important zone on top of the higher time frame zone, forming a cluster, which is the 56.14, 56.38. So on top of that strong higher time frame zone, we have this lower time frame zone, which is gonna create a lot of issues for oil, at least during this week. So we have to keep an eye on that. So can you guys hear me? I think my internet disconnected for a little bit. So I'm bearish on oil until we break above this zone here. Let me know, guys, on the chat if you can hear me, because I got disconnected. I just want to make sure I'm not talking to myself. Okay. So that will be on oil. We'll be giving more attention to longs on DWT or puts on the oil ETF until this breaks above this here. This is gonna be let's see if we can bounce off these lows from Friday, which is also a pivot. So this 55.70, 55.68. Now let's check gold real quick. If you guys have any ticker you want me to check it out. Wow, that was a big gap up on gold. Well, it needs to break above this 1434.80. We mark another level right here. So we're inside this here right now. Hard to pick a direction. If it holds this zone, probably gonna push up. If we can close inside it. So let's see what happens. Let's check the intraday. So we have the support, the 1438.30. In addition to that, we had this 1431.40. So it'd be nice to see this holding. It's above the weekly, it's above the daily. So as long as we're above it, we are bullish on the day and on the week. We need to break above this level though to be bullish on the upper side. So 1434.80, 1436.50 needs to break and hold, and then we test these higher levels over here. If we can't hold, I'll keep an eye on last week's main pivot, which is 1427. And if that doesn't hold, then this needs to hold the 1422.70, 1425.70. All right, I'm gonna go start with the tickers. If you have anything you want me to check, just post in the chat. I want to check StarBucks. So Starbucks had this amazing push from earnings from 91 to almost $100, which is about 10% of the stock value. We are approaching, we touched the quarterly pivot on Friday and rejected, as you guys could see here intraday. Let me change this to a 5 minutes so we load faster. As you guys can see, we tested 3 times there on Friday. 1, 2, 3 times. This time here, it pushed it above but couldn't find buyers on the higher price, and it pushed back down, retested and failed. So that's something to keep an eye on it. That level is going to be in play to again Monday, so keep an eye on it. Dip buy level, first dip buy level is 97.99, and then if that doesn't hold, I will be waiting for the 97 and then the 96.20. If we can hold above this, we're going to retest this 150, 160, but remember we need to break the 100, which usually is a big mark to break on a stock. So keep an eye on that as well. But regarding the pivots above 99.58, if we can hold above it, we're retesting this 167. Now about interest, the 96 here, okay. So yeah, if you're still bullish on the stock and you are waiting for a pullback, watch that 98 and the 97 and then the 96 to 96.28. So those will be the levels I'll be watching to buy on pullbacks. Where the strongest one is going to be down here, 96 to 96.26, but these are also strong supports. Now, if you want to short, just watch for a retest, just like here, retest and can't hold and start forming giving you a bearish formation. Then you can try to take the short. Remember all those strong supports as partial levels. Let's check WW. Yeah, WW is on a buy zone for me. This is a strong level right here. So I would say, yeah, right here. If we can break above this line, we're gonna probably retest it 2290. So we bounced. Near the pivot. We quite didn't get there. We kind of bounced on the tops over here. And it needs to break above it. If it doesn't break above it, we're gonna go back down. So we're doing this right now. Did like this, did this. If we can't break this, we're gonna probably start doing something like this. Now, if we break it, let's see, we push through right here, then we're gonna have issues around this zone here. So we need to break and do the same setup, break and hold and then push. Now this is gonna be rough right here. This is gonna be a rough level to break this right here. Oops. So that's what you have to keep in mind. It has more overhead to the upper side than to the downside. It doesn't mean it has to go back down. We have earnings coming, so you may see a strong bounce from here and people buying into the earnings if they think the earnings is going to be good. Depends on the expectations. So check the expectations. But that would be, if you're longer, stop loss has to be on this zone over here. This will be your stop loss on longs. 2097, 2138. And if we break this, we're definitely going to test this $20 mark, which is right this 1980 to 20 zone. Let's check intraday. Trying to zoom out here real quick. All right, so we closed the day at 22, which was right around here. We're still bullish on the day, bearish on the week. So what it needs to do, it needs to hold this main daily pivot in order to contest the bullishness of the week. So let's say we do dip here, we need to hold and start doing that upper move. The first level to worry about is this 22.23. So if we gap up, it needs to hold here. So that would be the second scenario. If for any reason this gaps up above this 22.23, it would be ideal if it holds above it. So let's say we gap up around here, and we need to hold this as a support level. So we can go and retest this 22.90. If we can't hold the day, then we're gonna first retest this previous low of the last day, which is around this pivot zone. And then if that doesn't hold, we're retesting this very strong zone that it needs to hold to maintain this upper move from these levels. Let's check MDB, MongoDB. Yeah, he actually found some support on the top of this 152.38 that we had before. Right there, this little zone here. Trying to be perfect sometimes doesn't work. There we go. So we bounced from this retest. We did this higher high. We're doing higher lows. So we need to reclaim mark. Oh, wrong two. Okay. Okay. So we need to reclaim this zone here from here to here. So let's see what's that. We need to reclaim from this 159.33, 158.85. That will be the big resistance at where it is right now. So for more upside, we need to break that. So far, it's looking a little bearish. We have this shooting star on the 4-hour. So if you see, let me get the other tool. If you see a push to here and it can't hold something like this, maybe you want to take a short position, partial around the main daily pivot in case we hold and push through 157.69. Once that is gone, then we most likely we're gonna retest those 155 right here. And if that's gone, then we're gonna retest the 153.43 again. So that I'm wondering if this last candle on the 4-hour is gonna be a lower high situation. Something like that. So that's something to keep in mind. If we can't break above this, we may start going down or consolidate in between here until we find more buyers consolidating to push through. If we can't hold this, then we can start that little downtrend from there. Could even form a little right shoulder on the 4-hour, if you can see here, right shoulder, head, maybe a right, so left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder. If this can't reclaim and push and then negate that formation, it needs to push and hold above it, this 158.85, 159.33 to negate this formation. So let me move this. Now, if you're waiting for a long, I will definitely wait either for reclaim of here, or if we dip on the main pivot, you can grab some here, but take most off on this very strong resistance, and keep the rest at break even to see if we can push through. If you want to wait, you can grab it lower at the 155.48, and definitely watch for this 152.38, 153.43, which is the strongest one at the moment. Let's check Netflix. All right, so many zones on Netflix. Yeah, I'll definitely watch this. You see how rejected right there is also this high. I'm trying to see where that come from. You have all this around here. Here. Oh, this back test. All around here, 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 here. So we have a lot of going on that level. So I think we may have a pullback on it, but the long term is, for me, is an uptrend. Maybe do something like this, and then do here. But it looks like he wants to pull back a little bit. It came in hot, like we talked in the chat room. We was just a moment where the institutions are gonna start loading up on this sale, and we had that right near this quarterly pivot. We see here push under, push back, retest, couldn't hold above it. I mean, push through, give a little high, and then it went under, retested here, went back down, then it push, tried to go under, couldn't maintain up, and then it just cruised up. That's when everybody started buying it. And let me remove this. Let's check intraday. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, the levels, although all of them worked pretty well. You guys could see this is where I said be careful with longs. We may see a pullback. It was on this little zone here. We hit there at the tick, came back down, bounced off these previous highs where we could go long, and then we cruise through. See here, test it again, but this time, see the difference? This time it hold above this line here. So on this one, it pushed to here, couldn't hold above it, and then we back down. This one, we push through, and then we hold this as support. You see how many times we test this, and then we push to the next pivot. So that's how we're looking to trade when we're trading pivots, is the break and hold. If you're long, you want to see break and holds, and if you're short, you want to see either a crack under and back test and can't break above it again, or a push through, can't hold above, retest, and go down. So I'm leaning more towards tomorrow we see a pullback on Netflix. The main daily zone is at 332.85. This is going to be the first strong support zone. 332.85, 333.69. If we can't hold this, then I'll be watching for this 330.73, 329.50. I don't think it's gonna drop this much Monday, but if it does, I'll have orders waiting for it around 325.86, 326.79. Right here. So I really think we're gonna pull back a little bit. If we push through, I really don't think we're gonna break above this zone. So if we have a strong spike to this zone, I'm gonna look into taking a short position. So let's say we open and then we just shoot up around here. I'm gonna watch for that pattern that we all like, which is the can't hold above, retest, and then go down. Taking partials on every strong support, as always. That's how we do it. I think that's about it. Netflix. Let's check INSG. I think it's been a while. I don't check that ticker. All right. Okay, so we're gonna have a zone. We're entering this little zone here that we need to break for more. Right around here. 529, 535. It's a good sign that we push through this yearly pivot 523. The clock ran down, so we didn't have that back test. We don't know if it's gonna hold. We are hitting our head on that zone, resistance zone right there. So that's something to keep your eye on it. It needs to break above it and hold for more. The main weekly is at 512. The main daily is 520, 523. So keep an eye on this as a support on dips. 519, 523. And if that doesn't hold, the last line of defense is going to be this 510, 512. Right here. Once we break above it, we have this 550-ish, 545. And then we're going to have a strong resistance at 559, 564. So always keep taking those partials on the way up on those key resistance levels. Now, if we don't hold this, then we know we're going to dip there. May test the 5 to 505 if you break this zone here. And then we have to see if we're probably gonna do a retest here and keep the downtrend. So just keep an eye on those higher levels and to make a decision. TTD. Ooh, coming hot. It looks his all-time high. Man, that's a run and a half. Yay. Right from the yearly pivot, you see here couldn't break and hold above it. Once it pushed through, came back, hold, hold, hold. We have this crazy wick down there, hold, people bought up, algos bought up, institutions bought up, and then we rock it. Man. Now, if we get overextended here, keep an eye for put position. Let me change this real quick. 15 candles. The 289.25, 292.27. If we get there, watch out. If you're long, be careful with that level. We can watch out as well this 279.28 on the way back. If we can't hold, do something like this. If you see can't recover, then maybe it's time to take most of your profits out. But if you keep pushing, we may see that the higher levels over there. 292.27. Oops. 292.27. Well, almost there, but I'll fix the number later. Yeah, so if you guys could see push through, if we can hold this, it's gonna be another nice leg up to those higher time frames. Keep in mind we have this 286.39 is a small speed bump intraday. That's only the R1, so it's not overextended at all. We can just break it and just keep going depending on the momentum. The daily support main day zone is going to be over here, 271.87, 273.48. So if you're bullish on it, that could be also a good deep buy. Just keep in mind that once we're below this level, you need to push back up. So if you decide to take a long position over here, just make sure you take your profits when it's getting to these levels. And then keep the rest on break even. Just in case we do that pattern, we just draw. If we can't hold this, then this is definitely the buy zone. 264.52 to 65.98. So those are the buy levels. And this is the main the key resistance is right here. If we break above it, then 300 is on the docks. Now let's check TNDM. Yeah, I know you have been scalping TNDM. You always request that stock. I know you like that. I'm banking on it. Come on, load it up. All right. Yeah, that was a nice close. Probably going to retest this 63, 62, 63.87 zone. You also have this one here. So be careful on this retest. It's doing lower highs and lower lows. You can see it's doing lower lows, lower highs. This is a weird zone, weird trend, but let's try to grab only the bodies. So be careful with this pullback here. If we keep we can't break above it, we're gonna have another lower high, and then we're gonna retest most likely over here. So your line in the sand, if we can't break above the 63, 62s here, is gonna be this 62, 69. On the way back, it needs to hold. So in push through, we need to hold here this time, maybe consolidate a little bit and then push around here. Now, if we can't do that, if we just push, can't hold, then if we lose that pivot, we're most likely going to retest this lower level here. So that's something to keep an eye on it. Yeah. Let's see what else. LUV. So LUV is trying to hold here. It had, let me see the earnings. 369. So it kind of didn't beat. It's just like a 0.001. But you have to keep an eye on this. Yeah, I like this 53.49. Okay. So what can happen here if we continue this downward move is a bounce, a temporary bounce. We test here and then go back to this 52.43. And looks almost, it will look almost like a head and shoulders. So if we can't hold it, you keep this bouncing over here, then we test on the zone, which is 53.75, 54. Can break and hold above it, then we're gonna continue that down move, most likely to 52.43. So this is more on the bearish side until we can't reclaim this zone here. Let's check KMB. Yeah, these kind of look a little bearish to me. All this. I know someone that would call this a Disney castle formation. Which, he will be drawing something like this, like a Disney castle. Something like that. So yeah, this is more on the bearish side for me. We're gonna have this previous weekly pivot. And this yearly pivot as a zone resistance right here. So if we can't push through and hold a support, we're gonna retest first is 135.92. And if we can't hold, we're gonna retest this 134.93, which means I'm about to mark it down. Right here. Once we break that under, most likely retesting this 133.40s. Yeah. So if you're looking for a buy on this, watch for this 133.30s and watch for this 131. That's where I'll be waiting for it. And if we can't hold that, then the 129.50, 129.76. From this point, I'll be long only if we break and hold above here, 137.91. But then you have to take a partial at this level here, the 138.85, and see if we can push through to 141. But it's looking more like we're gonna go back down a little bit. just making a plan for both sides, and not fighting the trend or the market, just having entries and exits based on our setup, on our zones, on what the market wants to do. Goldman Sachs. Okay. So we got back to that 222 that we got puts on Wednesday. Came back down. Now it's retesting there again. Are we going to push this time? So I will not try to short this time. It's look a little bit, this trend looks strong. I don't even know if I can mark this as a trend so steep. It's hard to mark steep trends, but it looks like it's squeezing into the pivot, which is a breakout setup that I look for. So what you can do, see if we can find a dip Monday into this 221.32, 221.58, and see if it holds. If that holds support, we go long and take a partial on that 222 and see if we can push through. Now you have to remind yourself that we have that Fed rate announcement this week, and that can impact the banks a lot. So you have to be careful swinging positions. But intraday, this could be a nice little trade. CMG. All right, so CMG is holding above the pivot finally. I don't know if you guys can see, but push through, couldn't hold, push through, couldn't hold, push through, couldn't hold, push through, hold, push, hold again. Now we need to see the break of those highs. Where is the, well, the main weekly is all the way down to 765.81. So you can do two things here. You can either buy that same zone that is he hold a few times, and then partial on the 780, or if we can get the dip, just buy the break and hold of over here, which is 780. So once you break and hold, next target 785, then 790, which was that previous high right there. It would be fascinating if we can get to 800, right? So that's what I'll be watching on CMG. First thinking is a deep buy to go long. If we can't hold this, maybe flipping short to 77, so a 5-point short. If this cracks, we're definitely going to test this 764, 765, which will be the last line of defense. ANTM. So it sold off on earnings. bounce right off this zone here. Right there. Push through, hold. And now we're gonna go one more time. And now we're gonna go for this here. So if we can break this, so push, can't break. We're probably gonna retest this 293.50 to 94.50. So we had the relief bounce. Needs to break above to move higher. The problem is that we have a very strong zone right here. So I'll be watching for a short setup in this zone right here, 301.45, 303.63. Yeah, so watch this zone here, and then partials. You need to take a partial at 300, another partial at 297.50, and see if we can get this 293, 294 here. What do you mean by video, Jason? Oh yeah, it's me. It is Elisa. Let's check AXSM. So you say you're worried about the high short interest, which is about 25%, but that can work in your favor. If we break this high here, what is your position? Let me check again, 25.70. So you are way ahead. You got in around this candle over here on this dip. Oh, that was a very nice entry based on this previous quarter pivot. Right there. Bounced. You got in. Now we need to break above this 27.84. Or if I were you, I would take a partial, either pre-market or when market open, or even would take a partial Friday when we are approaching this 27.83. Now, having a high short interest is not a bad thing. If we break resistance, we're going to see that crazy amount of shorts all covering, which is going to give you that little SpaceX rockets into the next zone. So if we can break and hold above this, you're going to have that very nice short squeeze. Now let me check what is the float of AXSM. It is 24 million. So that's not extremely low, but it's not too much. So it can give you a nice short squeeze. It would be better if it less, but with that amount of shorts, it may just be fine. So let's see if we can take that partial just to secure your profits, and then you can get that, see if we can get that break and hold to squeeze to the 30 levels. Now, if you took a partial, where you can keep your stop loss, you can have for a conservative stop loss, I will keep it at this zone right here, which if we break under 26.43 to 26.69, your entry is right around here, so you still be profitable on the rest of your shares. If we hold here, it can even add, and if for some reason it goes up and goes back down, you can just cut it and still be profitable with your average that's going to be in between right here. So yeah, I will take a partial and add if we dip over here and hold. Maybe even add a 27.15 if you want to, not too big, just a small add, and the biggest add would be at that lower area. If it holds, then you can take more profits. Remember to take a partial on the way back up at 27.15, and keep your stop loss of the remainder in a break even. Let's see. CVS. And it's gonna have a lot of resistance. You can add this little bit more because that's the weekly main right there. It's gonna be rough on CVS, but once it breaks, it can give a nice push up. I'll be waiting to grab it maybe down here at 55.65, 54.65, 54.24. Looks like it's on its way there. But for some reason, if we break and hold this, let's say we push through, you decide to take a long position on the push through of this the lower end of the zone. Take your long, but then keep it tight on the stop loss, and see if we can break above this here to reach this 56.40 first. But so far it's looking it's looking more bearish than bullish. Just keep an eye on that. Those two zones, the only ones to keep an eye on it. CarMax. Oh wow. Okay. That was one heck of a bounce. Wow. Let me zoom out a little bit. Look at that, from here all the way to here. So from, let's say, 60 to 91, there's a 50% move. 50% move since March. That's an insane move. Well, let's check a 5-year chart on this. So we are here 91. That's all-time high. That's all-time high up there. Is it? Yeah. All right. All right, so we have, it's hitting his head on this zone here. If we can't break above it and hold, we're gonna go retest this 88.93, 89.29 zone. Maybe close this little gap here, 89. So my first thinking is looking for a short position. I'm gonna watch closely this over here. And if we can't hold, I'm gonna take a short position. First partial at 970, and then I'm gonna see if I can get down to that 89. That would be the first, that's the first thing I see, I think, when I see this chart. Now, if we hold that, always have to have a plan A, plan B. If we hold this, then the next target will be this 92.33. 92.33. And what is that level? There is the 92.98. So that's what I'll be watching. I'm leaning more towards the short side, but I am not trying to go against the market. If the market gives me a sign that this is not going to hold, I'm going to take a put position. If it gives me signs that it's going to hold, I'm going to take the long position. For the long position, I would always prefer the deep buy. So I would like to see this 970 to hold as support for to go with calls. If that doesn't hold and you want to go long, I will wait for all the way down here to look for a position. Let's check NVDA. Mm-hmm. NVIDIA doesn't look like it's flagging. Ideally, you want to hold at 174.31 this time. So we are on bearish territory on the day. So if we could get a dip, I'm trying to mark, okay. If we get a dip at around this 133.90, 134.32, ideally I would prefer to be above it. 134.32, 174.32, 174.47. If we can get a dip buy level here, let's see a dip here, then we can retest, take a partial, see if we can push through. Maybe do something like this. Retest that previous close line, push, hold, and then off to the races. Test the 176.95, and then we can see if we can push higher and break that flag up. Now, if we can't break this, then it's gonna be more downside. All right, guys, I'm gonna check. I have another 2 on my list. If you guys have any other one you want me to check, I will do about 2 more after my 2, and that will be it. So team had this big earnings run. Is at all-time high. We have a very clear line here at 145.66, which we need to stay above it. Deep buy levels will be here, 142.21, 143.90, 97. If we can hold this would be nice deep buy level for a retest here, and then a push to test here. It kind of did that setup we like for short Friday. You see, this is a perfect example. So this is the resistance zone right here. Let me mark. This was the resistance zone, right? So we pushed through, couldn't hold above it. Come on, couldn't hold. Once we retest there, then we go short on the fail to break above it. Yeah, so that was a nice one. On the 5-minute, we didn't have the retest here. Maybe on the lower time frame, you can see something. But if you don't wait for the retest, we got also a nice pullback over here. So this is very strong rejection on the 4-hour. It was a shooting star. So I'll be looking for a more downside. It kind of dipped, but it reclaimed. But I'm wondering if this is because the clock ran off a little bit. We don't have more time. Then it closed the candle like that, or it was really a bullish candle. So we're gonna see it tomorrow. Let's check Apple. Didn't check BYND and ROKU. So BYND and ROKU will be the last ones. So it couldn't break 1, 2, 3, 4 times more actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times this resistance zone. Now the line in the center to the downside is going to be this 207.01. So you can say 207. 207 whole dollar is going to be the downside line in the sand on Apple. If we can't hold that, then we're probably going to retest this 205.50. And then the 203.85. Now if we hold there, if we can hold this, then we have a chance to once more either do another week on this high here, 208, or just push through this time. We have earnings this week, so that's gonna be a big influence on how the stock is gonna move during the week. Until we break below 207.03, we're still bullish on the week. So that's something to keep in mind. Now let's check ROKU. ROKU is just a beast. Okay. So kinda. So it broke our flag on the 4-hour. I didn't have this flag. I had this one here. So broke retest. We have we had to take care of this here. If this can break above it, we may go back down and we test this 108. The ultimate goal is to go to this 114.26, 114.65. But if we can't break above this supply and demand zone, then we're gonna go retest this 108, which is right here. And then if we can hold, the next will be 106.79. The next main pivot is at the next month's main pivot is at 103.74. If it gets there, keep a very close eye on it. That could be a nice buy opportunity if we get there. So as of right now, we are bearish on the short term. Let's put it very clear, a short-term pullback on ROKU. Now let's check BYND. BYND, the mother of all squeezers. I used to call Tesla the mother of all squeezers, but BYND is trying to get the crown. So if you are new to the stream, the 150 right here was when we called the reversal on BYND. If we claim this 152, we said is holding this 150 very nicely on the previous week. And then we say keep an eye on that 152, 80 something, 80 or 79, and for to confirm the reversal. And it was just an $100 reversal. That's nothing big. We have earnings after market Monday, so I would definitely not be holding BYND for earnings. This is gonna be rough. Let's check the expected move is $43. The premium is too expensive, in my opinion, to do a straddle. So a straddle is when you do the same strike on the puts and the calls, which will be totaled at $42.92. So you'll be paying $4,300 for your straddle, and that would be, the stock will have to move more than $43 for you to make money. If it doesn't move that much, then you're gonna have a lot of IV crush on your both puts and calls. Now, what it can happen is that what we see many times is that pre-market or after hours, that thing shoots up, shoots down, and then when a market's opening and you can actually get out of your options, is that we had a pullback and we're almost break even from the previous close, or not down or up too much. And that's going to generate a lot of IV crush. As you guys can see, these contracts have 204% IV on it. Usually a normal IV would be something between 15 and 25%. So imagine how much you're gonna get crushed on this. It's gonna be, if it doesn't move, it's gonna be bad for those people that made a straddle. Now, if you wanna do a strangle, you're gonna have to get way out of the money to do it. So it also needs to move a lot. The advantage is that it's still gonna be Monday, right? So you can, you have until Friday for that strangle. The straddle is gonna be crushed, in my opinion, if it doesn't go anywhere. There's a lot of volume at this 330, which is $300. You can actually, which is a cool thing on TOS. Let's do this real quick so you guys can see. Let's say I buy this call. Let's find a put to buy. Where we're trading right now, 234. We're paying something around 300, so we need to find something at the same price. How much was that one? 300? Okay, so let's grab this 175. So let's say I'm buying this strangle 175, 330, right, for $590. Let me see. So this is all bad. Without IV crush, right? Without crushing the IV, you're only gonna make money. So let's put this to Tuesday because the earnings is Monday night. You're only gonna make money if it goes above 270. So it's a $36 move, and below 200, which is a $33 move to the downside. That's without counting the IV. You see here, the volatility is 210% in one contract and 186% on the contract. So that's gonna be rough. But BYND is gonna have to move too much to be worth doing the strangle, in my opinion. I think I can change the volatility. So let's say the volatility crushed by 50%. No, it's minus, yeah, minus 50%. Well, we start making money only if it's below 185 and if it's only above 291. So just think about that. Sometimes it's not worth to take those risks. We usually, when the IV is that high, I would suggest to do the inverse, to sell maybe iron condor. So let's say sell this one here. Let's say 350. Get a protection. It's hard to pick. IV so high, the spread is too big after hours. But let's say you do this 350, 400, and then 350, that's about 100. So let's do the 110. No, it's not gonna go there. It's just ridiculous. So we sell this one. You see the downside has way more juice on it. So let's sell the 170 and buy protection, cheap protection. So you're gonna get a credit of 265. Now, is it worth to do that? I'm not sure if it's worth to do that, to be honest. It's is too broken. It's like a broken butterfly, a broken iron condor. Anyways, it's just for you guys to have an idea of what I'm talking about. Probably have to sell the 175, 190. Okay. And it's a little, well, it's a little off, but the idea is that it stays in this, if the stock stays in this range, you collect the entire premium, which is about that 265, but the downside is just too much. So I don't know if it's worth to do it. Usually I used to do like a double calendar or a double diagonal when I used to trade earnings and sell and play earnings at all. So it's hard for me to do it right now, but let's say we do a calendar. So it's 242, but 34 is 276. So let's buy a calendar here and 190 and buy a calendar here. So this is, I'm not saying to do this. This is not the way I would do it, because you have a too deep hole here. You have to make sure it stays, there's nothing, not downside in the middle. Let me see if I can change. Usually I do a diagonal where I can sell. Okay, type in the chat if you want me to show you how I would do it, because it may take maybe 10-15 minutes. I just want to make sure everybody's want to see this. All right. All right, so let's keep that. If anybody's interested, just let me know and I'll show you in the chat room. So that was it for BYND. Just be careful. The line in the sand to the downside is 226.71. If we break that, we're most likely going to retest this 217.38. If we hold, then we're going to push through. If we can break above this 244, 247, we're going to test this 257, 259. But I will definitely not be holding through earnings. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for participating. If you have any questions, I'll be in the chat room, and I see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. for pre-market trading. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your night.